So I'm back, and as promised, I'm going to do an eyebrow tutorial. I've already done my face. It's just a natural everyday look. So I'm going to show you guys how I do my eyebrows. If you're interested, keep watching. So the first thing I do is start off with my Anastasia brow definer, and I'm using the color chocolate. So the first thing I do is take the spoolie and I brush my brows upward. I want all the hairs to go in the same direction. Next, I define the bottom of my brow. Start at your nose. You want your brow to line up with the beginning of your nose, like where your contour would be. And then you're gonna bring it all the way up, all the way down. You're gonna bring the tail all the way down to the corner of your eye, like so. Then you're gonna do the same thing at the top. Like that. So once you've traced out your shape, I'm gonna brush the hairs back into what I've drawn in, just so I can get a better visual. Alright. Then you take short, hair-like strokes and you're gonna fill it in. Like this. Because you just want it to look as natural as possible. I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. I'm gonna start on the bottom. And bring that tail all the way to the corner of your eye. Starting where my nose contour would be and bringing that tail all the way down. Then I'm gonna come to the top and do the same. Another step that I like to do once I filled in my brows, and it's pretty optional, but I like to take the MAC brow set, and the color that I'm using is Show Off because my hair has kind of a red tint. It's not super red, but you want to get something that's gonna match your hair. I take the brow set and then I set what I filled in. And that kind of helps out with areas where you may not have filled it completely, like areas that are a little sparse. It's just gonna add a little additional depth to that, a little bit more color. But also, this brow set will keep your eyebrows in place. Cause my brow hairs are kind of crazy. Sometimes they like to move. When you use this stuff, they're not gonna move. I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. And you're just being careful not to go outside of the shape that you've already made for your brows. Another tip, if you feel like you used too much of the brow set, I'll take the spoolie from my brow definer and just kind of comb through it. And that kind of removes any extra that you may have put on there. Okay, so once you've created the set of your brow, you're gonna need a flat, thin concealer brush. The brush that I'm using is by MAC. I think it's Discontinued. It's a $194, but you can use anything that's similar to this. What I like about it is that it's flat, but it also moves as I'm tracing out the shape under my brow. So it's flat, but it can be easily manipulated. You want something that's stiff but not too stiff. I'm gonna take that brush along with my MAC Pro Longwear Concealer in the color NC45, and I'm gonna put a little bit on the back of my hand. Then you're gonna take your concealer brush and warm that up. And I'm putting it on the back and the front of my brush. Just wanna saturate that brush. So I've done that. That's how that looks once I finished. I made the brush nice and stiff. It's saturated with product, but you don't see a lot of product just hanging around. It just looks like the brush is the color of the product. So then I'm gonna start under my brows, and I'm gonna kind of lift here so that I can better see. And I'm just gonna trace along the bottom of my eyebrow. And I'm being careful not to get the concealer into the hair. So once you've done that, you just want to blend it down. Now this is something I normally do first. I did a full face first today, but normally I would do my brows first before I would, you know, do my eyeshadow, but it's whatever, it's good for you. So once you blended that under brow concealer well enough, you're gonna do the same thing on the other eye. If you're blending it out, it helps to wipe your brush off. Just wipe it on a paper towel so that you're not adding more product at this point. That's only after you've gotten enough under here. You can have shadow, don't hesitate to kind of take your finger and rub that out, or take a beauty blender and blend it out further. But I'm just gonna keep blending with my concealer brush. So then, after you have blended out your under eye concealer on both eyes, what I like to do is use my foundation to trace out the top of my brow. Now some people use concealer to do that. You can do that if that's what you prefer. Sometimes the concealer can be a little obvious. So if you want like more of a discreet definition for your brows, I would recommend using your foundation. Foundation that I have on right now is the Makeup Forever Ultra HD, and I'm using two colors because I'm kind of in between these two. But if you're using one color, of course, just use that color to blend out your concealer. I'm gonna use both of the colors. So I'm gonna mix a little bit of both on the back of my hand. There it is. And I'm gonna take my brush and mix that together. Another benefit of using your foundation to trace out the top of your brows, it just helps to make your look more seamless. Sometimes when you do your brows and then you go to put on your foundation, it's kind of hard to get foundation completely down in the brow area because you're scared you're gonna mess up your brows. Well, this pretty much eliminates that problem. I didn't clean my brush completely. I just kind of wiped it off with a paper towel, so I'm sure there's a little bit of concealer still on here, but that's fine. So once you've got your brush saturated, you're gonna come across the top of your brow and you're gonna trace that out, being careful not to go into the brow hairs. Once you've traced that out, then you're just gonna blend it in. And I mean, you can even take your beauty blender. Once you've blended it in like close to the brow area, then I like to take my beauty blender, of course the one that you're gonna use for your foundation, or in my case the one that I've already used for my foundation, and I'm just gonna blend that out further into my you know, the other foundation. So then you're gonna repeat that same step for your other brow. I'm a lefty, so this is a little awkward for me, but I'm gonna use my right hand. And just come from the beginning of your brow and trace. Now sometimes if I don't get quite close enough to my brow, because then I'll come back and get a little closer on my second rip. I just would rather be further away and come back and correct it than to actually get the foundation into my brows, and then that messes me up. And I find it works out better when I keep my brush extremely flat when I'm doing that part. I don't really like to turn it on this side because you get little buildups of product. So I just keep it really flat, and you're trying your hardest to do a single stroke. So when I finish doing that, of course, like I said, your next step probably will be to do your eyeshadow, but since I've already done mine, I just want to come and set what's under my brow, the concealer that's under my brow, with like a flesh tone eyeshadow. So I'm just gonna go in with raw Sienna from my Anastasia Modern Renaissance palette, and I'm just gonna blend that out a little bit further, like blend out your concealer just in a back and forth motion. And so not only am I blending it and making it look more natural, but I'm setting it. I'm setting that liquid concealer. So that's it. That's how I do my brows. You can see that they're very defined, but it's pretty natural. It's pretty easy. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. And thanks for watching.